All right, what's up, guys? Happy Friday. You know what? Gunnar Henderson is just not ready to give up on the season. That home run yesterday in game one of the doubleheader, after for no reason whatsoever, he just can't be the DH. If we want to give him a little bit of a break, instead he's benched, comes in, pinch hit, home run, wins the game for us. And I can imagine, without doing some investigative reporting here, that Gunner's not a super big fan of Mike Elias at the moment because he said, please let us continue to go to the deadline here. Don't make any trades. And he trades Baker an hour before the game starts, which is just, I'll get to that in a second. But then Gunnar doesn't get to play in the first game. Looks like we're just can't get going. Charlie Morton's great again. And it just feels like the season's slipping away there until Gunnar decides to hit the two-run blast, and it was a blast. And the Orioles win. Then they win game two after, let's be honest, once they get down 2-0 this season, you just kind of deep breath, maybe turn off the TV or just get frustrated. And then, boom, they fight right back, win comfortably. And now everybody's beating up on each other as the Red Sox and the Rays are playing. They got a 4-game series. Yesterday, the Red Sox won. Mariners are in free fall, and we're just right in it. So they at least can't make any trades for the next 3 days. They got to let us sweep the Marlins here and finish off the first half of the season with some momentum because, after losing the game the other night and then getting the rain out and having to sit in it, for another day, then they trade Baker right before the game starts. And there's just something about the locker room and the clubhouse, I feel like, going into this weekend that the juice is really back. That was a really nice day yesterday. The most fun, I guess it's the most fun day that we've had as Orioles fans. And we're 8 games under 500. The Marlins are here with the same exact record. And the Marlins are the Marlins. We're going to be favored in all 3 games. Kramer's pitching tonight. We should, let's see if we can find a way to keep the momentum going. But I wanted to harp more on the Gunner factor for a minute because going over the state of the Orioles here, someone's got to be the best player. And I think for the first couple of seasons, those 2 seasons where, the past 2 years, it was hard to figure out really, is it Adley? Is it Gunner? Who's the best player on the Orioles? And then, some of the older guys were still here. And it's just things have felt like they've been up in the air for a while. And with Adley, unfortunately, struggling the way he has, and just yesterday felt different, felt like maybe a breakthrough for Gunner, not only being our best physical baseball player, but turning into the leader of the clubhouse as he spoke up about the trade deadline. They delivered, backed it up yesterday. So, yeah, the home runs aren't quite there, but I imagine he'll end up with 30 by the time we finish the season. So I'm happy about that. Happy. All right, let's go to the Baker stuff because they trade Brian Baker for what, the 37th pick in the draft. It's not the NFL. It's not the NBA. That 37th pick in the draft is not going to play baseball in the majors. I don't know, 4 years, 5 years. So they essentially just punt on Brian Baker's career here on his future because I think he had 3 years left of control. I don't really care that they traded Brian Baker, not trying to be mean or, insensitive, but I think he overperformed. He wasn't going to make the roster this year to begin with if Kittredge was healthy. I think he was the last guy on. So it's whatever. It's a whatever trade. The vibes aren't great because it sent the wrong message, and everybody loves Brian Baker, and you trade him to the Rays, which I don't like. He'll be extra motivated to pitch well against us down the stretch. But I don't know. It's to me, it's not the biggest deal in the world because I think if we're going to win the World Series one time, Brian Baker's probably not on the playoff roster. I don't know if he's good enough to pitch in high leverage moments. Feels like, like I said, he overperformed. So with that being said, yeah, as I mentioned a few days ago, the guys that we have, Morton's value is going up here by the pitch. It seems like, but the rest of these guys, the Sagano included, Eflin looks like he's going to be able to come back after the break and make a start. You know what? Just leave the team alone. What I would like them to do is leave the team alone and trade Kobe Mayo and just be done with the Kobe Mayo experiment. Trade him for if we can get a starter or reliever, whatever we can get for him, a couple players, no prospects, guys that can help us this year. And I think that's the push that we make. They've they've put themselves in a situation where Ryan O'Hearn is such a success story They should just pay him and let him be your first baseman. Mountcastle's going to come back relatively soon, so it's a nice insurance policy to have him. And then you have Sanchez, who will not catch down the stretch. I can almost guarantee that once Adley gets healthy. He's just such a liability back there, but it's a right-handed bat. And I just don't think Mayo, Basayo's lurking in the future, and he is apparently not able to play catcher because they haven't let him come up. And hell, we've used 75 catchers, so you would think if he could catch, they'd let him come up, but he hasn't. And the point is, he might end up at first base or the DH, and Mayo just doesn't fit here. There's no room for him. His value is going to be as high as it's going to be because I don't think he's that great to begin with. And I would like them to trade him. It's basically they got to make the decision to trade Mayo or O'Hearn, and what direction do you want to go with this team? And I would much rather see them just keep O'Hearn, keep the team, see what happens at the end of the year because something's going on right now. There's some confidence building. You start looking at the record over 45, 50 games. And yesterday was something. So, all right, that's that with the Orioles. The one last piece, well, not that with the Orioles, but the one final piece with the ownership. As you look at the state of the Orioles, try to figure out what direction they're going. You may as well stop calling for. You can complain about Mike Elias, but he'll be here for at least 3 years, probably closer to 5, 6, 7 years. Because if you listen to Rubenstein the other day, I think it's on C-SPAN somewhere, probably. I think that's where it aired live at the National Press Club as he's promoting a book, talking about, he's just talking about everything, anything and everything with politics, and just the state of the country and blah, blah, blah. And then they ask him a couple Oriole questions at the end. And it's very telling. I'm not going to read all his quotes, but it's basically lead the baseball to the baseball people. And I wanted to help Baltimore. And my job is to help, the community and tickets and blah, whatever, right? So I think the takeaway, if you're just being sober about it, is when he bought the team, one of the most attractive things was Mike Elias because he's not a baseball guy. He doesn't believe in intervening or talking to the players or having an opinion on something where he doesn't feel like he's the expert, which is, the Steve Bisciotti approach. And it's worked out well for the Ravens. And DaCosta seems like the right guy, led first with Ozzie Newsome. And it's just worked out. So I think philosophically, it is the right way to run a business, which is, hey, I'm doing a million things here. I'm old, and I'd rather somebody else who knows what they're doing run the show. But he didn't hire Mike Elias. He essentially inherited him, and he must really like him, and he's invested in him. And that's just going to be it is what it is. Mike Elias is going to have the job for a while, and he's going to get to see this rebuild all the way through. He's going to have this trade deadline to figure out what direction he wants to put the team in. And that's part of the reason why he's able to make this trade for Baker to get another draft pick, because it's just another insurance policy as he continues his career as the GM of the Orioles, which is I got all these guys that I've drafted, and I want to have the legacy of the guys that I drafted, I developed, and they became stars. And if I make the right trades or if we get bit by injuries, some of those things are, I guess, what Elias would argue that those are the variables. But what I can control is the development and the draft. And so far, that's his selling point. And the better the young players play and the Orioles win, it coincides with Elias keeping his job. So I say all that to say that if you're going to root for the Orioles to win, you may as well get used to Elias, and hopefully he just pumps the brakes here. He pumped the brakes last year, and in retrospect, it would have been the right decision to trade some of those prospects for a pitcher down the stretch. Now it's like just don't do anything. Let them figure it out. We're gonna have so many guys coming back here after the break that I'll be really disappointed. The other day, before they won these 2 games, I don't know. I was kind of on the fence with packaging O'Hearn in there just because I wanted to keep him, but I was kind of resigned that he's probably gone. Now I'm really big on we really should keep him. It would be silly to get rid of him. It would send the wrong message, and I just don't think Mayo fits. So he's the guy that you can get some value for. And yeah, so all right, have a good Friday. Enjoy the weekend. I'm gonna pop back during the break to I haven't decided exactly how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna go through all the baseball teams and do a nice long pod just to summarize where we're at in the season, talk about some other things, and we're getting closer to football season. So, okay, have a good day, guys. Have a good weekend. See you soon.